Hello, good evening. Welcome to Prime Business with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Straight up, the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, is confident that government will secure a staff-level agreement for the next staff visit of the International Monetary Fund for the disbursement of the second tranche of the 3-year economic program with the Bretton Woods institution. Now, speaking to journalists at the Ghana Trade Ferry Development Project Investor Conference in Accra, Mr. Ofori-Atta hinted that the country is regaining economic confidence after securing the $3 billion IMF.
The second tranche of $600 million will be disbursed if the government meets the IMF's conditionalities. A team of IMF staff is expected to carry out a review of Ghana's performance so far. Ken Ofori-Atta said confidence in the economy is bouncing back after many efforts in meeting the IMF conditionalities. This, he believes, will pave the way for the next disbursement, which is expected in November.
We had an IMF visit maybe 3 weeks ago. That went well. The review will happen in September. And so far, between Parliament and Cabinet, we've gone through most of the qualitative performance criteria. So we expect that the review in September will go well to get an SLA. And then we will go to the board in November and further whilst we are doing the budget.
So we'll get it in November?
Well, God always puts the country through, and I think with all of your help, all of us speaking the same language, managing our bond investors for patience, we will get there. I'm confident about that.
Speaking on the coupon payment for bondholders, Mr. Ofori-Atta called for more sacrifice since liquidity has become a challenge for the government.
I think really, it's been a very difficult period. As you know, July last year, as a country, we're really unsure of the direction that we're going to be going. Clearly, we all worked very hard, and by May 17th, we had received the fund approval. But there's going to be continuing sacrifices because liquidity is a problem. And we must, as a nation, as I mentioned, begin to understand and speak one language in this period in which we are trying to rebuild to get back into sort of stability. As you can see, there's quite a bit of confidence coming in. Inflation, of course, was 50-something% last year. It's coming down. A bit stability in the currency, which is good for us.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the various bondholder groups and government are expected to issue a communique on payment terms for subsequent matured coupons.
Now, Associate Finance Professor at Andrews University, USA, Professor Williams Pripra, has stated that the swift intervention by government to begin payment of coupons and principals for some individual bondholders will bring some stability in the financial sector while boosting the economy. According to him, although the move is long overdue, it will go a long way to cushion these bondholders in trying times. Professor Pripra was reacting to the suspension of the intended picketing by the individual bondholders following government assurance of meeting all its obligations as stipulated in the Memorandum of Understanding signed on May 16 between government and the coalition.
The bonds, the principal and interest to bondholders probably has come at the right time. This is good news. Though it has delayed, it will bring down some pressures within the family setting and especially for the aged. The implication may be that it's simply just a transfer of funds from bonds to other forms of savings. So we may see that deposits at within the financial institutions are going to increase because these bondholders, they are not just immediately going to use the funds that they have received. Some of them will still be focusing on other forms of investment. And now we know the safest form of investment in Ghana is a treasury bill. So I'm sure government will find a way to still, let me put in a simple terms, collect the money back into the system. If not, the other impact when you have a lot of money coming into circulation is to induce inflation because those who have received their coupons and principals will be thinking of expanding or consumption. It's good news. It's going to boost the economy. but it must be done in a way that will bring equilibrium within the financial sector.
Oil Refinery is seeking government's help to grow the local industry to support the country's domestic demand for petroleum products. Addressing an entourage from the Ministry of Trade and Industry led by the Sector Minister Katie Hammond, chairman of Central Group, disclosed that after completion, the company would be capable of producing 5 million metric tons of quality products per annum, which will help manage demand for foreign exchange for importation of finished products.
Visit by the Trade Minister Katie Hammond formed part of moves to support local industries and promote manufacturing. Total investment of the Central Oil Refinery project is $1.98 billion and is estimated to provide over 900 direct jobs. Chairman of the Central Group, Zin Nkwan, is seeking government support so it could benefit from some reliefs and strengthen local refinery.
Because I like Ghana, we need to do something good for Ghana, for image future for Ghana. Today in the war, no, and already industrial go high. Our Ghana we need to follow. What can do good thing for Ghana today in the energy side? Refinery is key. I do these projects. Future for our Central Group. Second for our Ghana future to growing is important. To our Ghanaians, or because our Central Refinery for energy side is safe, comfortable, also get a good quality, good price to supply to whole Ghana.
After a brief tour of the yet-to-be-commissioned facility, Minister for Trade and Industry Katie Hammond was impressed with the project. He therefore assured he would work with the Energy Minister and relevant agencies to ensure that Central gets the necessary support, which includes some tax waivers.
I'm going to work very hard at that. Quite a bit, well, if not all of our current production, I think has been forward traded. But it seems to me significant that a structure of this caliber should be run with the crude from this country. I'm going to speak with the Minister for Energy. Obviously, it will be on the table of the President, and we'll take it from there. But it's an interesting proposition that I intend to take up a lot. In the last couple of years, there have been considerable challenges in Parliament as to this particular process of granting the exemptions. We're working on it. The President tasked myself and the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Leader of the House, to make sure that this matter is completely streamlined. We intend to see the Speaker about it, and I hope that will make some progress. Not only this, there's quite a few of them which are all choked up in the system. We'll hope to get them sorted out.
The facility, which is in its first phase, will refine 2 million metric tons of crude oil per annum.
More within the space, and bulk distributors of petroleum products have begun discussions with government to possibly resume participation in the Gold for Oil program. This is coming after some oil marketing companies and bulk oil distribution firms last month announced that they are backing out of the program due to how it's being implemented. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distribution Companies, Dr. Patrick Ofori, says their concerns have now been addressed, hence the need to get back onto the program.
Being against Gold for Oil in principle, we had reservation about certain operational challenges that are presented. But now that we have clarity and there is a proper plan in place, we'll always continue to do business with BOST based on their strategic role that they play within the downstream sector. But what this means is that we will still continue to engage other state agencies and entities to ensure that we have a way that we can also be rolled onto the program to also ensure we have that level playing field. Indeed, most of our members patronize the products that were brought in from there, except that different members have different business model that we're pushing that to enable everyone conduct business in a safer environment that seeks to give equal opportunities for everyone.
Meanwhile, Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amoah, believes the prices of petroleum products will be impacted positively following the decision by the bulk oil distributors companies, that's the BDCs, to engage government. According to him, the downstream sector is fairly stable. Therefore, if these BDCs fully participate in the program, it could sustain the impressive performance of the forex market.
The supply hasn't been disrupted so far. The bit that we were earlier concerned about had to do with the Bank of Ghana auctioning of forex or dollars to the market. One of the IMF conditionalities we cited was asking that BOG should stop that practice. And we think that if BOG is indeed forced to stop, then you're simply pushing the BDCs to now resort to open market, and that will mean that quoting way higher value for the forex, which comes into computation for fuel price eventually. Well, I do think that the market generally is doing quite well, is robust at this point. If we do not unnecessarily overburden any segment of the market, I don't see how we get into any problem over the next couple of months. Now, you have a situation where the product mix and then the forex together, sometimes you will compute the figures and then the market delivers, totally different prices altogether. What we know at this point is that we are not in any danger immediately of prices escalating, so it doesn't look as though people should be worried. It's okay. We're in good time.
To some other stories, the Kingdom of the Netherlands ambassador to Ghana, Jeroen Verheul, says Ghana can leverage its young entrepreneurs for economic growth. According to him, the potential of these entrepreneurs is one, the country can invest to transform the economy through job creation. He says his country will extend its acceleration program for young entrepreneurs to support their operations. Verheul spoke to Joy Business at the Orange Corners Cohort 7 graduation and the launch of Cohort 8.
Orange Corners is an initiative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands that provides young entrepreneurs across the world with training, mentorship, network, funding, and facilities to start and grow their business. The program supports innovative solutions to local challenges that contribute to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, in addition to partnership with various stakeholders to support and strengthen local entrepreneurial ecosystem. His Excellency Jeroen Verheul said 1.5 million euros was invested in the Cohort 7.
Yet to get to all the regions. We are now in 5 areas. We are in Accra, we're in Kumasi, we're in Takoradi, we're in Ho, and we're in Tamale. So that's in the 5 areas. We want to see how we move with those areas, because it's always difficult to find the locations that are suitable for the training and to find the trainers that are equipped for the training. But what we also want to do is to expand the training in a digital way, so that more people across the country have access to it, so that it is not limited to one location, but that it is basically accessible in the whole country. We give preference to female entrepreneurs, and we also give preference to entrepreneurs in the agricultural sphere, either cocoa or horticulture, because these are areas that the embassy is very interested in. But it's not exclusively for that. But we favor them because they are linked to what the embassy wants to achieve.
The Regional Director for Management for Development Foundation, Richard Yabwa, said the program goes beyond merely generating employment opportunities, but focuses on creating decent jobs.
Well, I will actually say that funding is available, but the criteria to get these fundings are challenging, and most of the businesses that we encounter are not able to go through that whole process of formalization. So our program really helps them to look at their business and structure the things properly. So some of the things is very basic, where they mix their private income with their company expenditures. So we really help them to streamline that, separate that, and then also use the banking system to process their incomes and expenditures.
The next cohort will have the opportunity to benefit from the vast resources, mentorship, and network of support that Orange Corners offers.
Now, Ghana is seeking to account for biodiversity losses, climate change-related costs, and other environmental factors in its conventional gross domestic product estimation. The current standard GDP does not account for whether the level of income created in the country is sustainable or not, which is where the concept of green GDP comes in. An assistant chief statistician at the Ghana Statistical Service, Dr. Benisewa Ofosu-Badu, says it is time the country intensify efforts at compiling such data. Here is more.
Gross domestic product takes into account the cost of environmental degradation and climate events. This allows the cost of natural resource depletion and environmental degradation to be subtracted from gross domestic product. Speaking on the sidelines of a national sensitization forum on green GDP organized in Koforidua in the Eastern region, Dr. Ofosu-Badu says the move will help provide detailed statistics for better management of natural resources that contribute to the economic development of the country.
Environmentally adjusted GDP. That is to say, GDP is compiled on annual basis as well as quarterly basis. So before you can arrive at or estimate green GDP, you need to take away all the environmental losses, the environmental degradation, depletion, among others. But not just that, just negating the environmental losses and the degradation, the depletion. It comes with the compilation of a lot of what we call SIA accounts or natural capital accounting. SIA is the system of environmental economic accounting, which has been adopted by the UN, and it is mandatory for all countries to start compiling it.
The forum, organized by the Ghana Statistical Services with support from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, brought together stakeholders from the Regional Statistical Services, Environmental Protection Agency, agriculture officers, CSOs, among others. Principal Environmental Officer with the Environmental Protection Agency, Kwame Boachi-Fredua, says the forum will help expand the understanding of the concept of the green GDP with these stakeholders to enable them internalize it in their activities.
It's essential that we do this because generating national macroeconomic indicators is not something that one institution does. If you talk to Ghana Statistical Service, through their system or setup, they'll tell you how even data is collected, analyzed, and all of that requires that there is that multi-faceted approach in terms of stakeholders and all of that. So today is just to bring them up to speed. One of the things too that we shared today was to try to get that buy-in from their perspective so they can internalize what we've shared with them in their work. Because there is no use collecting data and providing an analysis if that data just sits in a report and is put somewhere.
On the spot, a climate change expert with the Food and Agriculture Organization, Matthias Edeto, stated that Ghana, like many other economies worldwide, have shown progress in a resolve to build capacity to implement the system of environmental and economic accounting to better manage its economy. Kofi Sian reporting for Joy News, Koforidua.
Back in Accra, the redevelopment of the Ghana Trade Fair Center is likely to be completed in about 5 years, as many investors have shown interest in the ultra-modern facility. According to the chief executive for the Trade Fair Company, Dr. Agnes Edu, the board will be engaging more investors, and developers will take up separate structures as part of the entire establishment. She has been speaking to journalists at an investor conference in Accra.
Developed Trade Fair Center is expected to have ultra-modern facilities, including a multi-purpose convention center, hotel facilities, and a new playground for children. As part of its mandate to promote trade and exhibition, the Trade Fair Company is engaging investors to sponsor the establishment of more exhibition centers and conference facilities. Chief Executive Dr. Agnes Edu hinted that the company will be engaging more investors within the period to ensure the facility is built within the next 5 years.
We've always set a 3 to 5 year timeline for the project. From the moment that the developer moves on site, which he has in 2023, 3 to 5 years from now, we hope to engage various developers who will come and join us and also develop. So that's the timeline we are giving all our investors. But like I said, I've been very inward in my projections because we know that in this world anything can happen. So barring that anything like COVID can come and sidetrack us again, I think 3 to 5 years is fair to say that the project can be built.
Minister for Finance Ken Ofori-Atta also expressed confidence about the potential of the center and assured of government's support to get the center redeveloped.
I think the TRISPA has great potential. I think the estimate is that within the next 3 or 4 years, maybe $1 billion of investment will come through here. Oil revenues, we have to look at strategic projects, especially agriculture, which we have started, in which, we really want to be rice sufficient in 3 years, and that is being worked on. If you go towards Asuchare, we have about 10,000 hectares of new rice being grown, so that we move away from, sort of trading into actually an export-driven economy.
Despite all delays as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, many investors are still on board to ensure successful completion.
Thanks so much for watching Prime Business. I am Pius Kojo Baka. You can get business stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I leave you with some international business.